Things are a lot simpler in fairy tales. I mean, when you read about some girl going around covered in ashes who gets treated way worse than her stepsisters, it's pretty clear somebody should get that girl some help. Then again, who knows what she thought when she woke up every morning? Maybe she thought, well, things could be better, but they could be a lot worse, too. Trust me, they could. And in lots of fairy tales, they are. If you've ever read the original versions, you know they get gruesome fast. Maybe she was glad her stepmother was bugging her stepsisters instead of her about what they wore or why they didn't go out and find someone rich to marry. Maybe she was okay with doing her own thing. You get used to what's normal for you. You might think it's not that big a deal when Mom doesn't bring food home, because at least the cupboards aren't as bare as old Mother Hubbard's. It doesn't really matter if she doesn't pay a bill and the lights in your apartment don't work for a couple of days, because nobody had electricity in any of those stories, and they got by. And if your mom doesn't come home when she's supposed to, well, she probably didn't get turned into a swan or fall asleep for 100 years. She's probably just really late. Again. But even in our everyday world, someone could be keeping an eye out, watching to see if you need some help. If you do need help, and if you're lucky, you get a fairy godperson. Ms. Davis is mine. She's very good at her job. I don't remember when I first met Ms. Davis. Years and years ago. She works for a community program that helps families get through their problems and find support when they need it. Sometimes, when things are going pretty well, I don't see her much. But this wasn't really one of those times. When my mom told me I had to go stay with relatives I don't even know, I called Ms. Davis. I keep one of her business cards by the phone, and another with my important stuff, so I always know how to reach her. As soon as I heard her voice, I felt calmer. She suggested we get together the next day and talk, and I agreed. When I got out of school, she was waiting in her old blue Toyota, right where she said she'd be. I ran over, and when she got out and gave me one of her big, squeezy hugs, I knew things would be okay. She let go of me and opened the trunk so I could put my backpack inside while we walked. "Shall we go to the track?" "Sure," I said. Ms. Davis's doctor says it's a good idea for her to get some exercise, but she gets bored doing laps on her own, and I don't mind walking with her while we talk. This way, we help each other get things done. I stayed quiet while we walked down the street to the track, filled up our water bottles, and put our sunscreen on. I didn't really know what to say. Nobody who saw us would think we were working on fairy godperson stuff. There weren't any carriages or pumpkins or princesses, just the springy brown rubber track, marked off in walking lanes and running lanes, with a few rows of empty bleachers and a chain-link fence. But when I looked at Ms. Davis, I didn't just see her hot pink walking shoes and her black braids and her dark brown skin and her look that said, "You called me, remember?" I saw someone who knows how to make things better, even if I've never seen her with a magic wand. But she can only help me if I tell her what's going on. She has a lot to say about those fairy god people in stories who decide what's best for other people before talking it out. She says that's no way to behave, wand or no wand. I took a deep breath and looked at my sneakers. I don't want to live with people I don't know. I want to stay here with my mom. "I can understand that," Ms. Davis said. "Change isn't easy for me either. But when you gathered your courage last week, you told your mom you wished she'd stop waiting around for things to get better and start working on her addiction. Is that still what you want?" Ms. Davis believes in calling things what they are. You don't fix things by pretending there's something else. She let the question hang in the air between us as we followed the curve in the track.